All right, good morning. My name is Greg Redner. I'm Director of Bands at Waukesha North High School, and I'm going to walk you through my presentation for the Waukesha One Conference called The Difference a Year Makes in One-to-One. So as I mentioned before, I am the Director of Bands. I'm also a Technology Vanguard member. I've been a part of the district for now 7 years and a graduate of the district. I graduated from Waukesha North in 2004. As part of the Technology Vanguard, we've rolled out Wave 1 of technology here at North High School and have continued to update and work with staff members to develop their knowledge on that. I've also been a reading AO captain for the last 2 years, building some reading literacy in the building. Places that you can follow me, you can follow on Twitter at North Star Band. My email is listed there, gredner@waukesha.k12.wi.us. Follow along with the presentation right here. Click on that, and it's open for everyone to take a look. And then during the presentation on Friday, we'll be doing a back channel chat, so if you want to hang out there, see what the questions that are asked are, that's perfectly fine as well. Some of the things that we're going to outline today in the presentation, teacher uses, so how the teacher's use of devices has changed from year 1 to year 2. Student uses, similar thing. The integration then into the classroom, what it looks like on the SAMR model. And the meat of the presentation is that feedback and assessment piece. So let's start out with some teacher uses of the technology and how that looks different year 1 to year 2. So in year 1, when we were rolled out devices, teachers were given iPads and MacBooks, as you know. We really use them for basic application. I know personally, I transferred everything that I was doing on my PC that I was working at school over to the Mac. I was working still out of our H drive. So it was really basic application and then basic development of assessment. So we started to use them very similar the way we were using our PC tools prior. Then as the year rolled on, we got a little bit better at it. I know a lot of people have migrated over to Google Drive. Probably a majority of us have migrated over to that Google Drive so that we have live edit capabilities on anything that we're doing. Building assessments on these devices, allowing students to submit assessments and giving feedback using these devices as tools for that. So into year 2, we kind of subtly moved over to a life that's run on Google. I know if I take a look at my Google Calendar today versus what it looked like 2 years ago, that is completely different. Google Calendar invite is common for most of us to receive on a daily basis, either from an administrator. I know I work with them sometimes using them with students to remind them of assessments, remind them of rehearsals, and so forth. We've also used Google Forms. I know I use Google Forms for information gathering purposes, for assessment gathering purposes, for assessment grading purposes. So that's really transitioned from year 1 to year 2 is how we run our lives using the web around us and then the devices in our hands. And then we're able to integrate apps into our everyday instruction. I know just today as I'm teaching with the Wind Ensemble, I'm using apps on a daily basis, either tuner apps or warm-up apps, or I'm checking in. We did our warm-ups electronically, the different stuff that we just do on a daily basis now that has become regular to our everyday life. Let's take a look at the student uses. I know when students first got devices in their hands, they were probably 2 things: communication with other students and distraction from class. And that really was what it started as. It was the brand new thing that they had in their hands, and they didn't really know what to do with it or how to use it for educational purpose. So they were iMessaging, or they were Snapchatting, or they were using Tumblr or Twitter. And you know, some of them good, some of them not so good, as we all know. And distractions the same way. Distractions change, it seems like, on a quarterly basis. I know when we started, it was Madden 25, and then it migrated. There was Flappy Bird in there, and Flappy Golf, and now the kids are playing Trivia Crack. So there's distractions that are there. But those distractions hopefully are diminishing for you in your classroom. As the students learn educational use for the iPad or the device that's in their hand, the Chromebook. So that educational use kind of came slowly into picture as the teachers got more comfortable, the students became more comfortable using the devices for the right purpose. So in year 2, they've got these devices in their hands that are no longer new. It's not the bright, shiny object that they just pulled out of the box. It's the thing that they have to use at school or get to use at school, whichever way you want to look at it. I've found that in year 2 with the students, they've been able to teach each other and teach me personally about how to use the iPad in different ways to make it more functional in my classroom. And they have actually been able to integrate the technology then into their learning. It's just become a part of what they do. It's less of a conversation and more of that completely integrated solid piece of instruction. So let's talk about that classroom integration and what that looks like from a teacher and a student perspective. So year one, I think we probably all can agree that substitution activities dominated what we were doing in the classroom. We took a piece of paper and we just scanned it in and made it a piece of electronic paper. With my students, one of the main ways I did that was we took our music, we made it electronic. We'd read electronic music or be able to download it or use it on the device that we had. And that was substituting me handing out a piece of music to the students. So the students were essentially learning the exact same way, but it was just a new version of it. At the end or towards the middle of the year, we began to experiment, began to try out different things up the SAMR level. So more of an augmentation or modification levels, kind of dip the toe into that, get a little bit more comfortable with what we're able to do. And then into year two, the students became to expect that. So they became to expect that learning would look differently in the classroom. I know in my classroom in particular, last year we were trying some assessments that were working well using the iPads. This year it's just simply the expectation that the student is doing that, and they know that walking in day one. So the student expects to use the tools that they have, and we should, as teachers, of course, expect them to be able to use those tools appropriately. So we've really truly started in year two the redefinition of what education looks like in a brick and mortar setting. So now it comes down to feedback and assessment. So we've got all this beautiful technology in front of us. The students are able to use it. The teachers have a good good understanding of how to use it. So it comes down to now using that technology properly to get good feedback and good assessment to the students. So in year one, I'll give you an example of mine. I had shared Google folders. I'll show you this if you're at the presentation on Friday. These shared Google folders, students would share them over to me. I'd put them into a separate folder. So let's say they shared over a concert band folder. I put it into my concert band folder. And then I would go in and dig through all of those folders to see if those students were done. And then I'd give them feedback and I'd put it back in their folder. But there was no notification on either end. So the notification of completed assessment on the student end or the notification of me giving the student feedback didn't happen on either end. And the ownership was on me to locate those assessments. So I was digging through folders each and every day trying to see if Johnny had turned in their assignments. It made the feedback process slow for the student because I did it only on certain days. I couldn't go through every folder every single day. And then, of course, it was a pain in the butt. I was pulling my hair out trying to locate all of these assignments. So in the transition period, it was last January that at a PD similar to this, where I learned about Google Submit Assessment Forms and how to create that, and then I tweaked it to the way it works for me. I needed to find a better way, and I did. And during that time also, over the summer, I developed that Submit Assessments form and developed a self-paced curriculum so the students are able to work at separate levels. So now year two, with the devices in the students' hands, they've got a fresh look on assessment. It looks different to them. There's a number of different ways that they're assessed, and they know what that looks like now. The ownership from my end is transferred over to the student to make sure that their assignment is submitted. So the last step is to submit it on that assessments form to make sure that they have it done. And then using Google Forms creatively to either grade assignments or organize assignments that are turned in. So the tangible examples that I have, these are all clickable links for you. If you want to take a look at the proficiency-based curriculum that I'm running currently, see what the student sees with that, feel free to do so. This is the student version of the Submit Assessment form, so the last step of every assignment that I've got in that proficiency-based curriculum should be to submit the assessment on the form. And then teacher organization of assessments. We'll actually take a look at this. As I go into my Submit Assessments form, I apologize for the yellow, that's just my color coding. Down here I've got tabs on the bottom. The main Submit Assessments form runs right here. So you see that there's no one that's turned anything in today. But as I look through, I go to my concert reflections. This is a form that is actually sent directly to this. I'll show you how to do this in the next video. So I've got 3 students that have completed their concert reflection, yet to be graded. The yellow ones for me are color coding of grading. If I've got a student that did a playing assignment in wind ensemble, I've already moved it over there, so I've got to grade Karen's playing assessment of Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. So all of these things are organized in tabs. And as I mentioned in the next video that I post on this Blackboard page, you can check out how to create this form itself and what it looks like to the student, and then how to siphon other forms into this form so you're not searching around for a bunch of different things. All of my Unit 3 assessments are sent right to this form immediately. They just drop right into this form, and I'm able to take a look at them. The takeaway for this is educational technology, no longer about the device. Device has become a tool for sound instruction and feedback. It's important to keep that in mind in your instruction, and everything that I do is built towards that idea. It's not about what device is in their hands, it's about how can I provide the student the best instruction and the best feedback for their instruction using the tools provided. If you've got any questions, do please contact me, North Star Band on Twitter. Email is gredner@waukesha.k12.wi.us. Hope to see you on Friday. If I don't, I hope this presentation has been helpful.